What is going on, guys? It is Wrestlelamia here, back with some more news. Join us now as we look at the wildest news stories and rumors you need to know, including Ryback challenges Bill Goldberg to a retirement match. Will Edge work in AEW? WWE made major changes to Raw. Ronda Rousey angry with the women's tag division. A top star dealing with an injury. Is Jacob Fatu joining the Bloodline? WWE looking to sign 2 new talents and much more. Be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell for daily wrestling videos, and follow us on Facebook for exclusive lists. Also check out our new channel, Wrestlelamia Shorts. Now let's see the intro and get straight into our first story. Our first story looks at main roster stars Invade NXT. The 2 surprise appearances on this week's edition of NXT as WWE superstars Mustafa Ali and Baron Corbin showed up. Ali provided color commentary during the Dyad vs Wes Lee and Taylor Bate bout, and as for Corbin, he made an impression when he hit the end of days on NXT champion Carmelo Hayes after Hayes' successful title defense. NXT fans know that the black and gold brand likes to keep them guessing about what's next, including surprise appearances from main roster stars. While Ali seems like he could thrive in NXT, and he said he'd like to help NXT talent including getting them over, however, is perennial loser Baron Corbin a good fit? Perhaps the WWE thinks it can use NXT to rehabilitate Corbin's career much like it did with Mandy Rose. Next up, Ryback challenges Bill Goldberg to a retirement match. Is Ryback returning to the squared circle? Well, the former superstar has talked about an in-ring return for years, but he's dropping more hints than ever about staging a big comeback. Now Ryback is shooting for the stars as he's called out Bill Goldberg. Ryback tweeted, "I'll be cleared this summer to officially return to wrestling. I challenge Goldberg in my return to a retirement match." Now, there have been whisperings about Goldberg possibly working a retirement match in AEW, and AEW president Tony Khan has said he's on good terms with Bill Goldberg. Ryback has sometimes been compared to Goldberg, with some fans seeing his character as an homage, while others have accused Ryback of being a Goldberg ripoff. Would you guys like to see this match happen? Let us know in the comments down below. Next up, will Edge work in AEW? Is Edge going to work in AEW once his WWE contract ends? Although it's unknown just when the Rated R superstar will leave WWE, he has discussed working his last match in his hometown of Toronto, Canada. However, is there any chance he'd head to AEW afterwards, possibly even working with his real-life BFF Christian Cage? While the future remains unknown, Matt Hardy thinks it's possible Edge will work at least a few matches in All Elite. Speaking on his Extreme Life and Matt Hardy podcast, Matt speculated, "I think it'd be very feasible for him to actually have his final match outside WWE. I think that's something that is possible. It may not. I mean, he may just finish there. I could see him being a guy that was committed. If he says like it's his last match, I don't think he's gonna do Ric Flair and have like 5 or 6 last matches. I could see him finishing up with WWE and having his final few matches somewhere else." Rumor has it that AEW contacted Edge about working for them once word got out that Edge was cleared to return to the ring after what appeared to be a career-ending injury. Would you guys like to see Edge in AEW? Let us know in the comments down below. Next up, WWE made major change to Raw. It looks like fans are finding out why WWE changed things up dramatically on this week's Raw by having a SmackDown superstar compete in a main event match. The Blue Brand's AJ Styles showed up to congratulate Seth Rollins on winning the World Heavyweight Championship, only to find himself teaming with Rollins later that night against the Judgment Day's Finn Balor and Damian Priest. Some fans were upset to see AJ on Raw in light of the WWE's announcement of a hard brand split following the 2023 WWE Draft. PW Insider reports that this was a last-second creative decision as Styles was not originally slated for Raw and actually flew home upon returning to the US on Sunday. This follows up a report that Vince McMahon is still involved in creative, but rather than showing up at WWE events like Raw and SmackDown, he makes changes remotely. If so, this may be construed by some fans as a literal and figurative case of Mr. McMahon phoning it in. Next up, Ronda Rousey angry with WWE Women's Tag Division. Newly crowned WWE Women's Tag Team Champion Ronda Rousey isn't wasting any time letting the world know how she feels about the quality of WWE's Women's Tag Division. She shared her thoughts to the New York Post, and they weren't pretty. Well, the lack of competition is really the problem. I mean, we want to be the most active champions out there. I want to be able to defend this title every week, and even twice a week on both Raw and SmackDown. But with how dismally shallow the women's division is right now, that's not enough women around here to keep us busy for a month. And so that's the biggest challenge that we have, is to get this company to actually care and invest into this tag division. The WWE will certainly have to step things up as its women's tag division has been a magma hot mess for the last year. Next up, Mercedes Money injury update. There's potential good news for Mercedes Money, aka former superstar Sasha Banks, as Fightful Select is reporting Money's ankle injury may not be as severe as originally reported. Fightful Select confirmed last week that Mercedes was slated to defeat Willow Nightingale at Resurgence to become champion. Since then, we've learned that Mercedes herself called out for the end of the match and changed in the finish when she realized something went wrong physically, at that time only known to be a leg-foot injury. We've been told since then that New Japan Pro Wrestling Strong Women's Championship was created with her in mind. While the exact nature of Money's injury is unknown, Fightful noted New Japan Pro Wrestling is under the impression that the injury that Mercedes sustained was a severe sprain without a break. However, those close to Mercedes have said that there's definitely a sprain and the fear of a break. There was too much swelling to know for sure, and they're hoping to have a clearer picture of where things stand after the swelling has gone down. Right now, we haven't heard of a plan for any imminent matches due to the injury. Ankle injuries can be debilitating even when there are severe sprains, and the healing process can be very tricky. There were rumors that Mercedes might work at Forbidden Door, AEW's collab with New Japan Pro Wrestling. That would seem to be unlikely regardless of whether she has a severe sprain or a broken ankle. The next best thing could be AEW's All-In event in August. Would you guys like to see Mercedes compete in AEW? Let us know in the comments down below. Next up, a top WWE star dealing with an injury. And where's Braun Strowman been? Well, the monster among monsters has been busy teaming up with Ricochet until recently, and now rumor has it that Strowman is dealing with an unknown injury. PW Insider reports Big Braun is out with an injury and he may require surgery. According to Wrestling Inc., Strowman sustained a concussion in late April after a tag team match against the Viking Raiders, but he was ultimately cleared to return to the ring a week later. Luckily, there's been no indication that his current ailment is connected to that one. For now, Ricochet is busy as he looks ahead to competing in this year's men's Money in the Bank ladder match after defeating The Miz in a qualifier on this week's Raw. In the meantime, we send our best to Braun for a speedy recovery. Next up, Matt Cardona talks wrestling bucket list. And Matt Cardona is doing quite well for himself ever since leaving WWE, but what does the current indie sensation have on his wrestling bucket list? While Cardona claims he's doing well financially than he ever did in WWE, he did note he'd love to win the WWE Championship, and to be honest, what wrestler wouldn't? He also commented that while he's flattered by the rumors that he could show up on AEW Collision, he didn't give any indication he's headed to AEW. Next up is Jacob Fatu joining the Bloodline. Our recent social media post isn't conclusive evidence, but it's the latest hint Fatu could be WWE bound, with a likely destination being the Bloodline. The former MLW World Champion's name has been brought up as an addition to the group, but for now he's only sending congrats to Roman Reigns on 1,000 days as World Champion. Fatu took to Instagram and commented 1,000 days, no words needed. With the Bloodline seemingly disintegrating before the universe's eyes, some fans believe it's only a matter of time before Fatu, who's nicknamed the Samoan Werewolf, joins WWE. It's possible they will rebuild a new Bloodline as Roman Reigns seeks to continue using it to consolidate his power as undisputed champion. Next up, WWE looking to sign 2 new talents. Jacob Fatu isn't the only wrestler who could end up in WWE. According to Cageside Seats, WWE's talked about signing former MLW star Richard Holiday because of the story of his beating cancer, per The Observer. There's also continued talk of signing New Japan's Tama Tonga. Tama Tonga is related to wrestling badass Haku, and some observers feel it's only a matter of time before he's signed by a major promotion in North America. And finally, NXT stars draw praise from WWE officials. Now it's time for a follow-up on a recent story of NXT superstar being lauded for a match at NXT Battleground. According to WRKD Wrestling, she wasn't the only one, as according to PW Insider's report about NXT, Tiffany Stratton vs Lyra Valkyrie and Ilya Dragunov vs Dijak were praised in particular backstage. There's still talk of possibly calling up Dragunov following SummerSlam, potentially joining Imperium. While Dragunov feuded with Gunther during their time in NXT UK, the WWE doesn't have to explain this change of attitude, but if it does, there are plenty of ways to explain why an enemy is now an ally in the group. But there you have it, folks, the wildest news stories and rumors you need to know. Be sure to leave your comments down below, and I'll see you next time with some more wrestling content.